Can we talk about how estrangement impacts your grandchildren? I have been in my grandchildren's lives for 8 years. Sometimes it's been on and off for 6 years, but when we reconcile, my grandchildren are my everything. At one point, my grandchildren lived with us. When you go estranged, these kids have no idea why all of a sudden we're not in their lives anymore. I don't know what my son and his wife are saying, but I would imagine that they would feel abandoned and they don't understand why all of a sudden I'm not there. These kids are going to grow up with abandonment issues, with trust issues, thinking that estrangement is normal, that when you get upset with someone, you just cut them out of their lives. I don't want to be responsible for causing my grandchildren any more pain. I don't want to go back into their lives and then something happened and I'm pulled from them again. To me, I feel like these adult children aren't realizing the impact and the trauma that they're causing their children. First of all, they're going to grow up, they're going to have trust issues. They're going to think that when you get angry with someone, you just cut them off. I think that they're going to grow up and not trust relationships, that at any point someone's just going to walk away. I don't think that anybody's realizing that. I also don't understand why daughter-in-laws especially say, if my mother-in-law can't respect me, she has no right to my children. In a way, I understand. I've heard some horror stories about mother-in-laws, but for my case, I have never done anything so severe that my grandchildren should be taken away from me. Our last estrangement prior to this one, because there's been many, was my husband and my children were in my son's house, and I texted them and said I was coming. So instead of knocking on the door, I just walked in because my husband and my kids were already there. I just figured I texted them and told them I was coming, and they were in there, and I didn't think it would be a big deal to just walk in. Well, my daughter-in-law said that I overstepped boundaries by not knocking on the door, and there was an estrangement again. Every time there's an estrangement, it's just automatic. You can't see the kids. I don't understand why my son-in-law or why my son can't have his children see me. It makes me very upset that I don't get to see them anymore. And I know that people say, oh, I would do anything to see my grandchildren no matter what it took. I can't do that. I don't trust my son. So for me to swallow my pride and admit that I did something wrong just to see my grandkids, I just can't do it. It's just not in me. And again, I don't trust him. I don't think that there will ever be a time where I would trust that we would reconcile and he wouldn't do this again. I hope that everyone understands my point of view. I hope that adult children and estranged parents understand the trauma that these kids are going to go through as they grow up. I don't know if my grandchildren will ever reach out and try to contact me when they grow up, because I don't know what's being said to them about me. It breaks my heart. It's very, very painful. I think that at some point I miss my grandchildren more than I miss my son, but I can't, for my own sake, go through that back and forth, because it is so painful. Because I miss them so much and I don't want to cause them any more trauma. We need to protect these kids. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope that people are less judgy, and, you know, we all need to accept each other's choices and not be so judgmental. We have enough shame and blame within ourselves. So just try and be graceful. Just give people grace and understand how much these children are being affected. Thank you.
I hope I don't miss anything from this one, and I should have taken notes. I do hope the estrangement sticks, because it doesn't sound like she's going to do any real deep therapy work. I don't know if she's been in therapy or not or whatever, to take accountability for her actions. She's not going to admit to things that she didn't do, right? She can't put her pride aside. And so what that really says to me, the speak of that, what I hear when I hear people say that is, I'm not going to validate another person's feelings, because I don't look at it that way. Therefore, I didn't do it and it's not valid, right? And the story with the daughter-in-law, I just happened to walk in because my husband was already there and whatever, and she got mad because I crossed a boundary and whatever. That's a symptom of probably a pattern of behavior, of boundaries and things that have been crossed, that the daughter-in-law said, no, enough is enough. And there's probably something else in there that she's not sharing accurately. They've been on and off, no contact. And that says something, right? That says that the son and the daughter-in-law are trying to keep the family together. And what they're probably being met with is the same bad behavior over and over again. The entitlement of, I don't understand if my daughter-in-law doesn't feel respected by me, why I can't see her children. No, my grandchildren, not her children. I don't understand how that would impact my grandchildren negatively to see role model behavior of their grandma, who they love and look up to, not treating their mother well. Of course you don't understand that. That's actually why you are where you are. And you know why you miss your grandchildren more than you miss your son? Because your son sees that he wasn't the problem and you can't control him anymore. And the children are still malleable and within your control. Oh, the children who lived with you, did they live with you for a long period of time and you were raising them? Or did they stay with you for a little bit here and there? Or did the whole family move in for a period of time and the parents were there? The vagueness around this gives us no context as to how much they relied on you and bonded with you for your care. And I think that vagueness is on purpose, based on the way that she's sharing what she's sharing in this video. As far as trust issues and abandonment issues and learning that you just discard people, that's basically what she's saying. The way we as parents handle this is going to be the indicator of whether or not the children are left with any of those things. If they use this as a teachable moment, unfortunately, kids, when you recognize that other people in the relationship aren't willing to be accountable and kind and show up well, even though you try and you try again and nothing is changing, sometimes we have to make decisions about who we want to be connected to and that we deserve to be loved in a healthy way. Teachable moment. Not teaching children that people are disposable, but rather that people are in charge of whether or not they're disposable through their own actions and behaviors. We don't stay in toxic relationships because we're expected to, because of a title or because of society putting that pressure on us kind of thing, right? Not being able to trust. Well, if they learned not to trust someone, it was her. Because she's the one who isn't altering her behavior to be able to show up as a parent, as an in-law, and as a grandparent. Is that going to leave them with trust issues? Not as long as their parents are solid people that they can always count on. Because their parents, the children's parents, are the ones who they take the lead from. And what those parents build with their children directly is what's going to dictate what that child is left with developing into adulthood. If their parents are reliable, loving, protective, it sounds like they are protective at least, parents, the kids are going to be fine. You're not fine because you think you have a bigger role and level of importance in these children's lives than their own parents do. And I think that actually speaks volumes. I would do anything. No, you wouldn't, because if you would, you would still be in a relationship with your son, your daughter-in-law, and their children. What do you think, folks? Give me your thoughts. Drop a comment. And thank you for being here. And as always, as I ask all the time, or often, not all the time, I don't like absolutes. If you have somebody that you would like me to cover, send me the video, send me the link. Do not tag me because they will block me and then I won't be able to do the feature. And look, I'm not trying to attack this person. I'm just trying to point out this person's behavior so that if you're out there as an estranged parent, maybe you hear some of what I'm saying and start to do a little self-reflection and understand that the relationship you have with your grandchildren's parents is what is being role modeled for them to look like either healthy love or unhealthy love. If you can't treat your adult children and child-in-laws, I don't know what to call them, daughter-in-laws, son-in-laws, with grace and respect, she used the grace word, and kindness, and showing that you're, a team player, then don't expect to have access to your grandchildren because you're not role modeling what they deserve to have, which is a cohesive, respectful, kind, loving family.